So, title, Simpler Ways to Fix the World. Practical Ecological Conservation. I'm having a stroke, I apologize. So, to get into it directly, time is wasted. No matter who you are or what your beliefs are, the environment affects how you live. We live in the world, it affects how we live. But not everyone is born an environmentalist. Not everyone has the passion for nature or sees the value of conservation. And even if you do, it's a lot of issues. Where do you start? What can you do? It feels hopeless. Nevertheless, there are practical reasons and practical solutions, and this speech aims to demonstrate those. So, first, what am I talking about? What is environmental conservation? To taking a passage directly from environmentalscience.org. Environmental conservation is a broad approach to preserving what is already there and the due care and attention to protecting it for the future. It is also dedicated to restoring something to the natural state and maintaining equilibrium. We've always used the environment. This is just an extension of historical practice that would maintain, clean up, and replenish the environment around us. Basically the same. So, first off, some very brief history. In the modern sense, it started just before the Industrial Revolution with deforestation in Europe. The Industrial Revolution happened, and it started to become about resource depletion and concern over the limits of the environment. Later, petroleum and all that started to happen, and then scientific studies started to show that pollution was having an effect. Carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, you know that. Theodore Roosevelt came in later, pushed a lot of national parks and conservation efforts in America, and the Wilderness Act in 1964 sort of signaled a change into how we perceive it in the modern day and how we act on it. It's the modern thing, basically. So now you know what that. Now you know some history, but what does it do? Environmental conservation is centered around preserving resources and keeping natural ecosystems intact and in balance. The Yurok are a good example of this. They were a tribe in Northern California, specifically on the lower bit of the Klamath River, and they would practice controlled burns. Fire sounds scary, but sending it through the forest would sort of kickstart the ecosystem and keep it intact. It would replenish grass meadows, it would keep fire fuel down, and it would keep things nice and healthy. So that's a good example of that. Now you know what it is and what it does, but why does any of it matter? Why should you care about it? Starting off first, uh, habitat and species around us. Beavers are a keystone species that massively affect the environment around them. To quote a page, excuse me, to quote a page directly from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, again, excuse me, U.S. Fish and Wildlife website. Research, uh, Recent research suggests that beavers help to protect people and their property from wildfires. Riverside vegetation fed by beaver ponds act as a fire break, stopping wildfires from advancing across the landscape. Another thing of them being there, uh, the water would make trees have more leaves, be healthier, and then that would cool down the water, and fish populations would be healthier. Fish, beavers, they're interlinked. Fish, beavers, the trees, all that, interlinked. Small changes or absences in an ecosystem can spiral out and cause immense amounts of change, good or bad. Think of bees. So, second, ecosystems keep the world running. Carbon cycles on land and in oceans keep the earth cool and livable. We'll take the oceans as an example. Plankton, little plant things, they eat carbon dioxide, take in the carbon, breathe out the oxygen, and then the carbon works its way through the food chain, and then it either gets breathed out again as CO2 because it's a cycle, or it gets filtered out as organic waste. To quote an article from the Woods Hole Oceanographic, finally got that, Institute, says, when carbon sinks to the deep ocean, with some reaching the ocean floor, it can be locked away for millennia, so oceans can play a critical role in ultimately helping to fight climate change. Small changes, again. Third is climate change and backlash. Without intricate ecological systems to keep the world in balance and keep the carbon cycle going, carbon dioxide floods into the atmosphere, heats up the world, weather gets more volatile, things get out of control, the world gets hotter, and then Florida is in a hurricane more often than it isn't. So, consequences for the present, consequences for the future. Things spiral out, and we still have to live in the world. So, now that we know why it matters, what can we do about it? Practical efforts in the everyday. You typically hear practical efforts like buy an electric car, take the bus or bicycle to work, or go on a specific diet, or throw away all modern conveniences and go live in a shack in the woods. Uh, they yield results, but they're extremely impractical. Excuse me. Buying an electric car, that's expensive. We're all broke college students. The bus system is in shambles, and this is Phoenix. You ride a bicycle and you catch fire. There are practical solutions that can be taken that are more reachable. First, donate to local organizations. The world is full of organizations, charities that have environmental conservation in their goals. Take your pick, they're all across the world. Pick local, whatever. Even if it's only $5, it can help. Second is volunteering. If money is tight, broke college student, you may have time. Laugh now. But national parks do this, local areas, whatever. They'll have cleanup days. Just go in, volunteer, take some time, do that. Small steps. Third is take a trash bag when you go outside. It doesn't have to be a big trash bag, just a Walmart sack that you get from the grocery store or whatever. Plastic bag, fill it up with trash, throw it away, and even if it's a small effort, it does help. As daunting as it might seem, every major solution starts with small steps and a bit of creativity. Tangible change is possible without doing impractical or silly things. You may not fix the whole world, but you can fix your chunk of it. Leave your part of the world a better place than when you found it. As the saying goes, a journey of 1,000 steps, 1,000 miles starts with a single step. Thank you. Also, apologies that this is late. I am very sorry. I'm a vicious procrastinator. This is my fault.